you want to play Kled. Kled was changed. You don't know what to build on him anymore. And here we are. I'm gonna show you what Kled's new rework requires to be built on. I'm gonna show you for the early game, for the mid game, and for the late game. For each item, I'm gonna talk about the potential items that you can build with each situation. I'll offer multiple situations for each item, and we'll go through them. So what if I also told you that there are secret item timings for Kled that, if mastered, you could actually single-handedly elevate your gameplay from like average to almost making him unstoppable. This isn't about like just the general build path that you build every single time. There's gonna be a lot of variations, and you're gonna have to pinpoint what situation you are in. And this chart will allow you to understand what to build, when to build it, and why you're building it. So each situation will require you to build differently. Each game requires Kled to build differently, and this ultimate guide will just show you each potential thing that there is to be built on Kled. So first of all, we're gonna start with the starter items. There's three potential starter items for Kled. There's the Dorn's Shield, there's the Dorn's Blade, and there's the Longsword Refill. Usually, the most often start I see on Kled is Dorn's Blade. But let's start with Dorn's Shield. First off, Dorn's Shield is a very more passive item where you look for short burst trades because the item basically dictates that you are not gonna win in an all-out fight, but you can survive the poke through the laning phase. So you would want to build Dorn's Shield in case there's an enemy that you're fighting that you cannot win against. So basically, if the enemy is oppressive in the early laning phase, but you think that once you reach like level 6, level 7, level 8, whatever it is, like later on in the stages of the game, you think that you can beat him then, you can go for Dorn's Shield, and it will allow you to survive a lot of the pokes that the enemy could throw at you. But I don't think it's the best starter item. So it will go on A tier. There's a lot of situations where it could be built, but I don't think it's the best. Now, moving on to Dorn's Blade. This is going to be a bit of a controversial take, but I think it's actually a very bait item. Dorn's Blade is actually probably the least useful start of them. I think there are certain contexts where you can build it, but Dorn's Blade is outdone by these two starter items because this would allow you to survive a lot of situations that this item would not, and this item, this start would be just straight up better in a lot of cases because it allows you to componentize into the next items faster. So if you're basically winning, the way that it works is that if you win the early trades and you want to kill your enemy earlier, you usually want to go for Dorn's Blade because you can, well, beat him. But if you can already beat him, these basically give you almost the same types of resources because this gives you 120 and then you can buy it gives you 80 HP and then you can buy a pot that gives you 120 HP, so you basically end up with 200 resources, and this would basically give you the same, but each time you come back you can use the pots again. So that's a first. And second, once you come back, you can, guess what, componentize into different types of items because longsword can be built into a lot of different things. Now you can argue that there's a 3% lifesteal, but Kled doesn't really work with lifesteal either way. Like, he doesn't really get a lot out of it. What he wants is just to survive long enough to get back on Scarlet either way. So the way that Kled interacts, from what I have seen in most of the games, you usually have two main fights that happen early, like level 2, level 3 mostly. You basically want to go for the first really strong fight, and then once you get back off Scarl, then you will re-engage again and either get back on Scarl or like kill them in the next engage, right? So you have two big engages. So on the first one, you're not really like gonna be worried about it, and if you give enough time for the second fight, you can just regen through these pots and you'll be fine. So like if you have to kind of like the only situation where I can see this item being good is if you have to engage on them in one singular fight and like they have to die in that fight because this gives you like more instantaneous resources. So if it's a fight that you have to take no matter what, I can see this being good, but in most contexts, I think Longsword Refill is just better. And if you can't survive the laning phase, then Thorn's Shield just exists. So I think this item is actually bait. So it goes in C2. It's not a completely useless item. There is potential for the places where you can build it, but I think Longsword Refill is just straight up better. So these go in S tier. Like most of the situations, you will probably want Longsword Refill, because they're just straight up better in a lot of cases. They allow you to get your items early because remember, Kled is a very early champion. Like he falls off the more the game goes. So you want to play for your early power spikes. So Longsword Refill kind of just really take the cake in most cases. Now, moving on for the components, I'm only gonna be talking about one just because of how powerful it is, and that would be the Tiamat. I think Tiamat is by far potentially the best first component that you can build because it's not just a farming tool. It gives you so much power because basically empowers each auto attack that you have and put that with your W. It will allow you to deal much more damage than anything else potentially could. Like it's even potentially higher than the serrated jerk that you could get. So I think not only that, but it will also allow you to proxy early. Like if you win the early trades and you kill the enemy early, you can in a lot of cases just walk up to the next wave. Like after you kill them, walk past the turret and just proxy the next wave. So it would allow you to just get so much tempo. It would allow you to win a lot of trades. It's just a generally really good item. So I think buying Tiamat early, like first back, second back, it's so worth. Now, from there, I'm not going to talk about any more components. I'm just going to go into the legendaries. So that's it for the early. From here out, I'm just going to be talking about the legendaries. So, I think from here, which is going to be another bit of a controversial take, I think Eclipse is probably one of the best starter items for Kled. Like, you can, in a lot of cases, just build the component of Tiamat and then itemize into Eclipse because it gives you such good dueling abilities. Like, you will be reducing the time until you get your next legendary because Tiamat obviously doesn't build from Eclipse. But Tiamat alone will allow you to win most of the big majority of your early trades. And until you build Eclipse, Tiamat alone should function with you well. Like you will have at best 1 to 2, maybe like 3 minutes where if something goes wrong, your enemy will have a item advantage, but after that you will already have your Eclipse. So like if you would be put behind, it would be like maybe 2-3 minutes at best, and then you would be like it's so much further ahead once you have Eclipse because you already have the component that is Tiamat, and you would be able to go into the next item. But of course, if you don't want to go for like one of the Tiamat items second, then you could componentize differently. But in my opinion, I think Eclipse as a first item is really good. Now, you would argue why Eclipse over something like maybe Sunder Sky or Hullbreaker, and I will go over it in a sec. So, for now though, Eclipse is probably the best first item in my opinion, so definitely goes into S tier. Now, Titanic. This is definitely just perhaps the best item on Kled so far right now. The power spikes that it gives is super good. So basically, you can have almost an instantaneous amount because if you want to get back on Scarl the moment you're off Scarl, you just need the 4 auto attacks from your W, and then 1 more auto attack and a Q, a good Q, like positioned correctly. If you hit it in the center, you will get back on Scarl immediately. So if you take the 4 auto attacks of W and then use the Titanic instantaneously as an auto reset, and then just immediately drop a Q, you will be back on Scarl immediately. So it will give you such big advantages. And put this with this together, like you're gonna ask me, why not Titanic first then? The reason why I don't like Titanic first is because the moment that you are off Scarl, if you're going Titanic first, all you have basically is damage. You don't have anything that allows you to survive the trades. Eclipse gives you a lot of burst, but it also gives you a shield that will allow you to get back on Scarl. And the way that Eclipse interacts with Tiamat, basically you can just bait out a lot of interactions where like you can say like you have maybe 60 70 courage, but you're pretty decently low. You can go for a like let's say you have an auto attack Tiamat, Eclipse immediately procs, you have a shield, and then from there you can get back on Scarl through your W or Q or whatever it is. And this like it gives you a lot of baiting capability. So I prefer having Eclipse first over Titanic for those reasons. But Titanic second is definitely, in my opinion, probably one of the best things that you can build on. Now, for the rest of the Tiamat items, I could see a context for both these being good, but again, Titanic is just really much better. Like, if you want continuous fighting, I think this would allow you to survive more, but it's gonna give you like less immediate resources, like HP. So if you need like if you're fighting someone who needs a long extended trade that you need to fight with them until they're dead, but they don't have that much healing, like this could be potentially good because it gives you certain amounts of burst power, it gives you healing, it gives you a lot of potential things. So I can see a context for it, but I still think Titanic just is just that much better. So there's context for it, but I think it's like B tier. For Stridebreaker, I think it's kind of close to the same thing as Ravenous, but it's the context behind building it is different. Like if you're trying to chase an enemy but you can't reach them and you don't need the extra resources, you just need to slow them down. Stridebreaker could be very good for that. It gives you movement speed, it gives you the ability to slow down enemies, it allows you in that certain sense to peel your allies if you're fighting in a team fight. Like someone is chasing over your ADC and you need to slow them down immediately, you can use that to slow them down. Like there's certain niche cases where you could argue Stridebreaker, and I would see that. But I still just like this, just so much better. Like it's just so much better. So like it's good, but in certain contexts, because of how good this is. Now going to Profane, I think this is perhaps the worst out of the bunch, just because of the AD scaling being nerfed on Kled after the patch. So I think this is probably the worst one right now. It's definitely gonna be an F tier. Like I can't really justify building this over this or this, and like very majorly this. Now, back to the argument of like why not build Sundered Sky over Eclipse? I'll tell you why. First of all, Eclipse gives you a burst of damage that you don't get from Sundered Sky. Second, the Sundered Sky, like, if you want to reduce shields, you have to build something like Serpent's Fang, which is 2.5k. If you want to reduce healing, though, you need to just get like a Bramble Vest or a Executioner Sword or something like that. So, like, they would just need like 700, 800 gold. So that's the first point. Second point, the way that Sundered Sky works is that it's gonna give you healing on the first enemy that you strike, like on the enemy that you strike for each enemy, like after 8 seconds. Eclipse works within 6 seconds. So first of all, the cooldown is lower. Second, Sundered works where there's more people. So if you take it first item, I don't think you're really utilizing most of its potential. It's really useful once you're outside of lane and you're fighting multiple people, then you can see more use for it. So I think it would be better as like a second, third item maybe. But definitely a really good item nonetheless. So it definitely goes in A tier. Now, Jackshow, arguably one of the biggest buffs of like an item per se on Kled, aside from Titanic Hydra. Jackshow right now, considering the passive changes that increases the MR and armor, I think Jackshow has become really good on Kled. The sheer amount that you would gain from it, like if you want to build 2-3 bruiser items and then build a couple more tank items, and Jackshow has like last, like let's say you build Eclipse, Titanic, and then you build full armor, like I don't know, Maw and another item, armor item, like let's say Thornmail or Ramwins. Particularly Ramwins, I've been seeing a lot of use for it, but we'll talk about it later. But if you build that with the resistance boots, the amount of resistances you would get is almost equal to like 2 to 3 items worth of stats. Like you would gain 120, 130 in a normal game. And if you want to build full tank Kled, which I wouldn't really see a lot of case use for it, but let's say you want to build full tank Kled, you would be looking at like maybe in total between the MR and the armor that you would be getting, you would be looking at around 200 stats. So like a very, very large amount of resistances gained. So definitely a really, really good item. And so definitely an S tier. Now, I have seen a lot of arguments for these 4 items being a starter item. Now, Hullbreaker, I've seen arguments for it being first item. As I said, I would prioritize Eclipse because all bonus health goes on Scarl. So you would need something that would allow you to survive once you're off Scarl. That's why I would not want something like this over something like Eclipse or Sundered Sky. Now, Hullbreaker is still pretty good if you're not really looking to engage with enemies all that much and you just wanna like split push. I can see a lot of case uses for Hullbreaker. It's definitely a really good item. I can see contexts where you would want to build this first, and it's justifiable in a lot of contexts. But I would still, like rather this. But there's definite contexts where you can just build this and get away with it very easily. So I will put it in A tier. It's arguable between A and B tier, but it's definitely not S tier. But it'll go for A tier because it has really good stats, and the way that Kled is capable of like using its passive is definitely good with his W. So I can see a lot of justification for it. But for Hubris, I don't really see a lot of case use for it right now. Like if it's stacked infinitely, maybe, but it's very temporary. Like, and with the reducing of the AD ratios on Kled's abilities, it's like gaining a lot less from it, and it's relatively very expensive when it comes for a lethality item. Like I think there's better options if you want to look for it. Like if you're building lethality, you're basically saying, because they're turning him into a bruiser, so bruiser items are basically better than lethality. So Hubris as a lethality item has become definitely weaker, and if you want to build lethality, what you're basically saying is there's someone so valuable on the enemy team that I need to kill him regardless of what happens. And if that's the case, you're not looking to kill multiple people, you're just looking to kill the one person. So I think there's definitely better options than Hubris, which is in that case something like Opportunity, for example. But we'll talk about it in a second. So for now, Hubris is, I'm not gonna deny it. There's potential contexts where you can build it, but I think it's too weakened right now to be considered an item. Like there's certain contexts for it, but I don't think it's good. But I'll put it in C tier. Like it's not an F tier. It's not something that I can't ever see someone build on him. But I can still definitely see some contexts for it. Now, for Bork, it would be something that you would build first item. I've seen people argue for it, but it's really not good on Kled, especially if you're building it first item. Like, if you want to build it for anti-tanks or whatever, it's not good for multiple reasons. Like, the cooldown of its passive, if you are building it first, you're basically, it's very front loaded in the way that that you're basically going to be dealing with it. Like Eclipse, 6 seconds, you proc it, and then you have 6 seconds until it comes back, and that by the time that you're off Scar, like maybe 4 seconds have passed, maybe like 5 seconds, so you only have 1 more second until the Eclipse procs again. This is like 13 seconds, so you can only basically proc it once if you're in a full out fight. So you're basically only getting front loaded advantages from it, so I don't think it's that good. I don't really see any case use for it, so it has to go in after. Now, Heartsteel, dink, a very fun item, but I like, I've seen arguments for it, but as I said, all bonus health goes to Scarl. It doesn't go to Kled. So, like, while it's fun, maybe you can argue for it if you want to go for tank Kled and then build resistances afterwards and just building it for extra HP so that you can frontline. I can see maybe in that case, but like there's just so many better options. I'll put it in C tier. It's definitely within context possible, but it's not a good item. Now, probably one of the most argued about items, Black Cleaver. Even if you look at u.gg or certain things, like they say it's a core item, which is like ludicrous. Black Cleaver is definitely not a core item because A, it gives health, which goes out Scarlet, so you're not getting anything from it. And if the enemy team does not have armor, like if you want to argue, it increases by the amount that when they level up, like it's not gonna be enough to warrant it. Like if you build just pure damage, you either can try to one tap them or you can tank for the enemy team. Like it's gonna be context dependent. If the enemy has a lot of armor, sure, but it depends on what you're trying to achieve. So I can see context for it, but I definitely would not say it's a core item. Also, the more armor there is, the more benefit there is from it. So it's definitely not a second item. If you're trying to kill the enemy tank, like that's just not worth. Like it's a waste of gold because you're gonna see your damage like go down very ridiculously. Because remember, Kled is at the end of the day a frontline or an anti-carry, so you want to pinpoint what you're trying to do. So within context, I can see it being built, but it's definitely not a core item. I can see it being built third, fourth, in certain contexts, maybe second, but it's definitely not a core item. Like there's just so much better options to go through. So in certain contexts, maybe, but not a core item. Ma. Now, Ma is a very interesting item. Ma is unique in the way that you can build it because of the way that you interact with its components, namely Hex Trigger. So if you're facing, for example, a AP enemy top laner like Gwen or Mordekaiser, rushing Hex Drinker in a lot of cases will almost disable their gameplay because of how really devastating Hex Drinker is for them. Like for example, if you're fighting Gwen, if you're level 6, she's level 6, she will not be able to kill you through her ult simply off the virtue of Hex Drinker, because it's gonna give you a shield that like she cannot burst through. Simply if she's using her ult, it's really good. So you would build it as like a third, fourth, you don't rush this item, definitely not. But if you're facing a AP enemy that you are afraid of, you can build its components and then itemize to finish it later on. So it's definitely good, but within certain contexts. It's not something that you build every game. So you just need to understand the context behind it. So definitely an A tier item, but within context. Now, for the boots, these are generally the boots that you would see being built on Kled. But as I said, I'm preferring resistance boots because of the way Jack Show is right now. The more resistances you build on it, the more you get benefit out of this item because of how good it is right now. So I would definitely prioritize building these. Like it's very simple to understand when you would build this over that. Like they have a lot of CC or they have a lot of AP, build this. They have a lot of attack damage, build this. You want to try and kill people more often, build this. But of course, because of the way Jack Show is right now, I would say these two are much better than this right now. So I would put these in like A tier, and I'll put this in B tier just because of the Jack Show. Now, moving on, Deadman's Plate is an arguable item. It has certain contexts. It's not something that you would build every game, definitely not. But it's, let's say they don't have a lot of healing, so you can't build Thornmail. You're not able to reach the enemy, and you don't have speed items. Like let's say you have Eclipse, you have Titanic, and the enemy is really fast, so you need the extra speed, and you need some way to slow them down because Deadman's does that, and you need the armor. Then there you could argue a potential situation for it. It's not something that you would build conclusively every game, but there are certain situations where you can argue for it. So it goes in C tier. Spear of Shojin is usually seen as a second to third item power spike, and because of how many good options you can build on Kled right now, I don't really see Shojin being that useful overall over these items. Like, it can still be built within context where you want to keep on fighting through the fights. But if you're really looking for extended trades, there's a lot of champions that can out heal Kled, and they can outdo him. So usually Kled goes for short burst trades. He doesn't really like extended trades. So maybe there's certain contexts where I can see it being built, but it's definitely not something that I would build on repeat. So maybe the certain contexts, definitely not an every game type of item. Now, Frostfire Gauntlet. Very, very interesting item. Third, fourth item, definitely not first, definitely not second, but you would build it basically if you, after first and second item, you have your damage, you need armor, and you need a way to slow down the enemy. Because the moment that you're off Scarl, if you're in a 1-on-1 or 2-on-1 situation, the moment that you're off Scarl, you basically become kind of a semi-ADC because of the extended range of the auto attacks that you get. So in that situation, Frostfire becomes really good because you're basically slowing down your enemy, which would allow you to better kite, and it would also allow you to peel your ADC. So basically you would choose one person, slow them down, and if they're going after your ADC, so it kind of plays like an offensive and a defensive. So it's very versatile in the ways that you can pick it. So it's definitely good, definitely not a core item, but it's definitely something that you can slot in if you see a situation for it, like I told you before. B tier, Death Dance. F tier is not enough for it. Death Dance is genuinely one of the worst items you can build on Kled. No arguments. Basically, if you build Death Dance, you are literally trolling. The way that Death Dance interacts with Kled is that Ignore Pain does not just remove the damage that you're being dealt. It basically negates 30% and then deals that over time. So basically, if within that time you get off Scarl, all that damage that has been absorbed now goes on Kled. So you are literally losing HP once you are off Scarl. So definitely don't build this. If you are in a game and you are playing Kled, if someone sees this, just report them. Get them out of the game. Now, support Kled. These two items are the options. I would prefer this item over this because Kled usually prefers damage. But you can argue this item within certain cases. But in a lot of places, like, you're not really looking to not get one shot because Kled can literally not get one shot as long as he's on Scarl. So all you want is to be able to get back on Scarl. So the extra damage is probably much more beneficial. So support item definitely much better than the thing. Now you're gonna argue, support Kled, what are you doing? Go watch my other videos. See why it's good. Now, Edge of Night, lethality, no. F2. Opportunity, what we were talking about. As I was saying, you risk opportunity because you want to prioritize, because Kled is an anti-carry by nature. He basically will he's kind of close to a Renekton in that sense. He's gonna choose one person, dump all of his abilities on them, and then decide you're not gonna play the game anymore. So if you have someone that you need to build need to kill regardless of what happens, opportunity gets to be a lot better than hubris in that sense. Just because of the way that, like, opportunity is built to kill one person, because of the, like, you can read the passives, you'll understand. It gives you lethality out of combat, and then gives you movement speed once you kill someone. Hubris is a stacking lethality item. So basically, if you want to fight more, Hubris will allow you to do that. But if you want to kill, like, if you want to concentrate your attacks on that one person and kill, opportunity is just better than Hubris. Because Hubris is basically saying you're not really going to be killing the first person that you're thinking about, you're gonna be killing the one after and the one after more efficiently. Opportunity is looking at that one person and saying, you're dead, bye-bye. So I would put opportunity because of that, just higher tier than Hubris, just off that. Crit item, so no. Okay, moving on. Now, this. All the MR items within that sense would basically follow the same logic. Maw would take precedence because it gives you attack damage as well. But if you need the extra, you can argue for this. You can argue for um, Abyssal Mask if you have a lot of AP champions with you. You can argue for potentially Spirit's Visage if you have a really good support that's like giving you a lot of healing and all of that. And then you can argue for Kanik Rukern. I think Kanik would potentially be the best out of the bunch just off the amount of stats it gives. Because remember, the more stats you have, basically Jack Show benefits all that much more. So I would definitely like out of all the potential MR items, um, I would definitely put Kanik Rukern as like the king of them, and then these become more and more situational depending on the usage case. So Rukern would definitely be in the S tier if we want to put them in separate cases, like for MR items. Definitely Maw first, and then Kanik, because Maw gives you a shield that you would benefit from, like not to get one shot once you're off Scar. So there's that, like well, that's very useful. Kanik is very front loaded in the way that you're getting your damage negated, but it's giving you a lot of stats, which benefits this. But yeah, if you have a lot of AP champions on your team and you wanna buff their damage by like being the front line, and they're gonna be dealt more damage to it. So there's situations for this. If there's a lot of drain mages that deal damage over time, there's arguments for this because it increases the amount of magic resist over time, so you get another like 70 MR over the 70 that you already get. So you're basically getting a lot of benefits from it. So I think this actually goes a higher tier because of that, because of the way that it would also interact with Jack Show. But I would still like um I would still like to say Maw better because of the way like you're just not getting bursted down through the shield. Spirit's Visage is probably the weakest link within them. Uh, so there's certain situations for it, but I would not really want it. Now, Frozen Heart, I've seen some cases where like you might really need it, but because of the mana thing that gives you mana, and Kled doesn't really have mana, like there's the armor is good, it's cheap, so that's good, and the most important part, which is like the reducing the amount of attack speed that you're being dealt. But just tell one of your supports or the junglers to buy it. Like don't waste your gold on it. But if you really have to and there's no other choice, I can see certain case uses for it. So C tier. Serpents, really good item. There's still potential for you to slot it in. It is a lethality item at the end of the day, so you're going to be increasing your damage, but most importantly, you're going to be nullifying shields. Kled is a champion that is capable of slotting it, but it's not a first item, it's not a second item, it's potentially a third item, but I would rather it be being like third to fourth. Because you definitely don't build it second though. Like, no. But it's definitely good. B tier. It's situational, but very good. Now, the reason why I have this here is because I've seen a lot of arguments about on-hit Kled because you want the auto attack speed. Um, auto attack speed is good, but it's not what Kled wants. He wants to be able to survive off Kled once he's off Scar. So I would not really no. Now, Locket Solari, I would argue potentially. I would need to try it out. I haven't tried it out. I'm still trying to cook with it. But I could argue a very niche case for it if you're playing like support Kled. It gives you a shield to survive once you're off Scarl, or it could be used defensively for your other allies, and it gives you resistances from both sides. So this, and it's cheap, so you can see how you can like potentially look for it as a use case scenario. It's possible. I would need to try it out, but it's definitely there's definite use cases for it. Now, this item, LDR. Uh, So Lord Dominic's regard is a good item. There's certain case uses for it. Um, Obviously, between Mortal Reminder and LDR, it's very obvious why you would pick one over the other. But it's definitely not a first item, not a second item, not a third item. If you're gonna build it, because it's a percent dealing armor pen, because it's percent, the more they have armor, the more useful it is. So it would be kind of like the replacement, a better replacement for Black Cleaver. If you're going for a more damage oriented build, there's definitely negotiations for it, but it's gonna be more useful the more armor they have because it's percent based. So there's definitely argument cases for both of them. Now this item, there is certain case uses for it. It's an MR item. It gives you also AD, and it's a QSS at the end of the day. So there's a lot of cases where if you can't survive because you're getting just pinned down to the ground, you could argue for it. It's potentially viable. But it's definitely not a core item in any way. It's very situational in that sense. Now, Ranwin's Omen is very, very interesting. I've been seeing a lot of case use scenarios for Ranwin's Omen. Ranwin's Omen is like the amount of crit I'm seeing in the game has been increasing, so I'm seeing myself building it much more often. And Warden's Mail is a component that you can actually build, that you can benefit a lot from in the early game. So it's not an item that you build first or second or third, but Warden's Mail is definitely like something that you can build early if you're not able to survive. And just all the sheer like strength of Warden's Mail, you can then build the rest of the items that you would build normally, and just survive with that Warden's Mail until you see like the thing about crit is that it doesn't start functioning until you have like third crit item, fourth crit items, like they become much more consistent then. But until then, like they're not really consistent. So there's less case use for it. So randoms would be like a fourth, fifth item if you want to build it. Definitely not a second item, definitely not a first. But there's definite lots of case uses for it. So I'm gonna put it in A tier, but it's very situational. Moving on, we have Serylda's Grudge. Serylda's Grudge is a lethality item like any other, but it gives slowing. So if you need lethality and you need the slowing capabilities, it would be kind of like a less tanky version of Frostfire Gauntlet. Randuin's also gives you slowing, so you can have that. This also gives you slowing, so it's just another situational item that you could potentially build in certain cases scenario. Bloodthirster, no. Kempunk, there's certain cases for it. Its stats are nice, but remember, health goes on Scarl, so there's probably better options. Like, I would rather see this than this, so you could argue both. Each has their own situations, but it's very niche in the way that you could build it. Now, Sterix. Sterix is in a very interesting situation. Sterix is a health item that allows you to not get bursted. But I've been seeing myself being able to slot it less and less often. It's not a first item, it's not a second item because it builds more the more HP that you have. So if you want to build it, you would need to building like almost no resistances, and you just need to try and not get one shot basically. So if you have an enemy that's an executioner type champion, like executioner ults, like let's say Urgot, Garen, Riven, you get what I mean. Those like really heavy burst, the moment that you're off Scarl, I'm gonna just beat your ass type of champions. You can argue that if you don't have resistances, but the moment that you decide that you want to build resistances, you want to be able to benefit off of this more, and you can potentially argue like a lot of cases this would come in handy because AP champions are decently strong right now. So I would see more use case scenarios for Maw over Sterix. But there's definite cases where you could argue them, but I've been seeing myself build it less and less often. So it goes in B tier. It's not bad, but there's definitely like just better contenders in overall. Voltaic is another lethality item. It slows down. There's situations for it. It's not a first item. You could argue for it maybe second, third, but it's very niche in the situations that you would build it. It's a front-loaded damage item that slows down the enemy instantaneously, and it functions well with Kled because of the amount of dashes that he has between his Q, between his E, because you can use it twice. So like there's certain cases, scenarios for them if you need the immediate damage, but I would prefer like there's just so much better options. But yeah, I can see a lot of scenario uses for it. Thornmail. Thornmail is a very good item because it's probably one of the most armor-giving items aside from Frozen Heart, but we can guess why Frozen Heart would not be good, or as good as Thornmail. It gives you health. It gives you the most armor amount of armor in the items list, so like 75 armor, which is the same amount that this item gives. But the reason why Thornmail would be that good, while it doesn't give as much health as the other items, I would say, it gives you a lot of resistances. And remember, the more resistances that you have, the better this becomes. So if you need anti-heal, and you see yourself wanting to build anti-heal while needing resistances, Thornmail becomes really good once you start thinking about Jack Show in that aspect. So there's definite case scenarios for Thornmail. Of course, I don't need to say when you can build Thornmail, because obviously you're not going to build it first. You're not Rammus, you're Kled, so third, fourth, but yeah. Now, Triforce. Triforce is a interesting item in the same way that Frostfire Gauntlet is, because they're both a Sheen item. Tiamat, Sheen procs are good for immediate burst damage and in rotations. So after you attack once, the effect is gonna go off. So I would argue Triforce being good if you're building a almost resistance-less type of like build where you mainly focus on survival through HP regen and shields. Like let's say no resistances mainly. You're looking at Eclipse, Titanic, Sundered Sky, this Hullbreaker. That then Triforce becomes pretty decently good actually. It gives you a lot of continuous damage. It gives you attack speed, which enables you to get back on your W faster. So it's a very good dueling item. It's not something that I would recommend every game, obviously. You would build it kind of like a third, fourth, but there's definite use cases for it. And from there, I think that is mainly it. I don't really want to argue for Sunfire Cape because we're out of the tank Kled meta. I'm like, this is no, because a lot of cases you're using your ult at the longest range, so by then this effect is already gone. Yumos maybe, but unlikely because we're not really in a lethality Kled meta anymore. I think that is it. So this is the guide. Hopefully it was helpful. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. If you have any reasons to think that I'm an idiot, that I'm saying, oh, this whole Breaker deserves the S tier, let me know why. I don't know. Let loose your imagination, I guess. On that note, I wish you the best of luck in your solo duo games or whatever it is that you want to play. If you're looking to main Kled, I'm gonna be posting a lot of Kled scenes, so please do leave a like, subscribe, all of that. You know the shebang. So yeah. On that note, I wish you the best of luck.